Hi there, everyone. Welcome. My name is Robin Blank Mascari, and I'm here in Bozeman, Montana, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to the Wise Women Weekly segment of Enlightened Networking. Gregory and I created Enlightened Networking a few years ago to support people in our profession. We love the profession of networking, and my personal passion is people living their full life's dream and living their full potential. And I don't know a better profession to do that. So when I fell in love with the profession and I learned all the different ways we can support other people in growing, it just got better and better and better. And then just a very short while ago, I met another professional woman in network marketing. And we never worked together before. We were never in each other's organizations. But we developed this wonderful affinity. And Monty Patterson and I, she is a consummate professional. It is an absolute joy to get to work with her. And the more we learn about each other, the better it gets. And both of us share a passion of supporting people in our profession, empowering people, making connections, and actually supporting people doing network marketing on more of the feminine, softer side. Not just feminine, but and so we've come together for Wise Women Weekly, and we're here to really support people and share some incredible resources. So maybe you guys can fall in love with the profession at the level we have, and to give you some wonderful resources. So Monty, you want to share a little bit?
Yes, awesome. You were talking about how much I say awesome. I think because every time I'm around you, Robin, things just continue to feel more and more awesome. We just have this great working relationship, and to be able to have this synergy and come together for this common purpose, it is just one of my great joys. I'm so excited that we're able to bring this to everyone and to serve the profession that we both love so much, and to really bring value like we're going to be doing today with Rhonda. So our endeavor here is to continue to bring more and more and more value. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep.
Awesome.
Sounding great. Well, it is so fun to work with Monty and to learn from her and be inspired by her every time I talk to her. And to me, quality of life is really reflected in the quality of relationships. And this profession, you get to pick the people you work with, and pick ye wisely, and we will be talking about that. So I want to jump into today because a lot of times a lot of people come into this profession of network marketing, relationship marketing, multi-level marketing, direct sales, person-to-person marketing, whatever you want to call it, because someone shared a product and they enjoyed it and they wanted to share. And there's many, many things to learn. It's different than the traditional business world. It's learning a different model of business. And so we want to, last week we covered personal branding and social media strategy 1.0 for beginners, and we got rave reviews. And that, if anyone wants to see that, we've got the YouTube link for that. You can check it out. Wonderful stuff. And so today we're going to talk about the basics of what are the amazing advantages. A lot of people don't realize that working part-time from your home has tremendous advantages, and we brought on an expert today. This is a woman that I met, I think, 12 years ago. And when I first met her, I thought, how could someone bring so much light and fun to this thing called taxes? How could someone do that? And she did. And she gets up on stage. She has a love and passion for this profession and helping people really, really get the maximum benefits. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But the woman is a joy. And I want to share a bit. I'm going to read a little bit from her bio because she is a tax specialist. She is a home-based business tax specialist and the managing partner of a company called Accountable Solutions, which is a full-service accounting firm she founded 23 years ago. She's worked with thousands and thousands of people in our profession, from many, many different companies, has 30 years of direct sales experience herself, 20 years as a business owner, and 9 as a national speaker and author. I met her through an organization called the Direct Selling Women's Alliance, and we'll be talking more about that in the future. But I have learned so much from Rhonda. It is my joy and my privilege to get to share with you a treasure for our profession, a treasure in my life, and someone I'm thrilled to share with you. Rhonda Johnson, would you like to say hello?
I would like to say hello. Hello to everyone. And always remember, taxes are a game and we play to win.
And just starting out that way is such a great context. So, Rhonda, I'd love it if we could go back to the basics, and maybe let's start out with a little bit of, how you got into doing this work, and then a little bit about, what are some of the basics of why it's valuable for someone to have a home-based business, even if they have a full-time job, even if they have a part-time job. What are some of those things, to just kind of give an overview, and then we'll get into specifics. So back to you, Rhonda.
Well, when people do the normal tax return, which is called a normal 1040, there's not a lot of deductions. I mean, you just can't deduct a lot, and that's the way the government has it set up. However, if you have a home business, the floodgates open. Your normal everyday expenses, I have to emphasize that. Your utilities, your gardener, your pool cleaner, your window cleaner, getting your furniture refurbished, whatever some of those expenses are, now become business deductions, and that's the key. And record keeping is huge, but just knowing that you live, so your cell phone, all of those things become a deduction, which doesn't normally mean anything. And then, of course, your largest deduction, which is your mileage, everywhere you go. And we teach you. We don't just set you out. We don't want this to become just an annual event. We want this to be a process when you use our service. So we're here to walk you through this, to help you strategize and actually get the maximum benefits. So you're doing what you need to do for your business along the way. Because when you give us stuff April 12th, 13th, 14th, whatever, there's not much we can do for you because you've made all of the decisions along the way and your behavior is what it is. We can't help you after the fact. It's like the dentist. If you're not brushing your teeth and keeping them up, then you can go into the dentist. There's not much he can do for you. So it's kind of the same thing. We want to help you along the way. Let's make this a process and not an event.
Whoa, I hope everyone heard that. It's a different mindset. It's a process, not an event, and learning how to think differently, that, oh my goodness, my monthly auto ship is a tax deduction. Oh my goodness, my house cleaner and my gardener. Wow. So I'm going to turn things over to Moni to summarize a little bit, and then we're going to move forward here. So Moni, back to you.
Awesome. I think that was really good. That was one of the best things I've heard when it comes to preparation. And here we've talked about treating your business like a business, haven't we, Robin? We've talked about that. No, not like a hobby, and this is one of the key things that you mentioned. You mentioned record keeping, and bottom line, making it a process and not an event. Like, I loved that. When I heard you say that, I'm like, that's really, really, really good, because it's so important for us to understand the importance of that, And so let me just ask you a question on that note. When people are keeping these records, Rhonda, what type of records should they be keeping? Is it just mileage? Is it a little bit of everything? What do you recommend, and what's the best way to do that?
That is a loaded question. I just want you to know that. So first of all, I just want people to understand there's certain levels of network marketing and business. So in the beginning, you don't typically set up as a corporation or anything. That's step number 2. But before that, you still have to understand the IRS, Uncle Sam, expects one thing out of you. Number 1, to claim all your income. And number 2, they expect you to have business sense. So that means you must have a business checking account and a personal checking account. When you're doing business, you use your business account. That's the down and dirty basics right there. And you must have a mileage log. They're getting tougher and tougher on the audits with people that do not keep a mileage log. They're a pain in the neck, I'll admit that. But you don't have to write a book about it. You just have to be who, when, where, and why. You know, what advantages to meeting with Monty for my business. You know, so she's my business coach. She's going to take me to the next level. You know, whatever it is that person did for you, but they're not going to ever check money from Rhonda Johnson's tax return. So it doesn't matter what I'm putting in there. It just matters that I'm accountable for putting that information down.
Got it. That's awesome. What do you think about that, Robin?
Well, it was a shift for me to realize that I needed to keep track of certain things, and it's a bit overwhelming, I think, for some new people, and I'd love to hear some more details from you, Rhonda, about, you mentioned a mileage log, and you mentioned a separate business checking account, but what are some other tools and resources for people to track the things easily that need to be tracked?
Boy, these questions, there's so many things that they can do. You have to have some sort of an accounting system. Now, whether you want to talk to us about that and use our full service, which is reasonable, we can help you do that, and then we educate you with regards to a profit and loss and a balance sheet, because that kind of sends people, oh my gosh, I didn't know this is what I got into when I decided to have a home business, but it makes a huge difference. So not only that, but when you're taking a business trip, which you'll never take another vacation, you're always going to take a business trip. Just keep that in mind. And you don't ever drive the house out of your house without business intent, because your mileage is going to become more deductible. So I just want you to shift your mindset. Everything is for business. No more vacations. They're all business trips. And before you go, like I would tell Robin, I would say, Robin, call us. When you and Gregory are about to go on your trip, call us and tell us what your itinerary is, and we'll help you focus on it and make sure that we work in there all the business hours you need to, how many stops, all of that you have to make in your business trip, so that it becomes a business deduction. Because if you give me that information and say, well, we went to Coeur d'Alene and then we went to Tacoma and then we went back to Coeur d'Alene, and it was like, well, we can't help you with that with business mileage, but let's figure it out ahead of time so we know that you're meeting with business people along the way. And I know that you did that because you were out in the yard the one day I talked to you and someone had stopped by, and then it turned into, well, everything turns into business for anyone that knows Robin. You just can't get beyond it. So it works. That's what you want to do. You want to shift your mindset.
I love it. So it's a mindset shift, and I think a little more specific, something that was really helpful to me when doing the mileage log is when you have that intent that your first, and if you could comment, if your first stop of the day is a business and your last stop of the day, and then you have your mileage from beginning to end, is it really true, Rhonda, that you can deduct the mileage for that entire day?
It is. Your first stop of the day has to be for business. Your last stop of the day has to be for business. And let's just say on the way home, you're not quite sure what to do. You've already stopped at the post office. You've already met with your team. You've done all these things. Well, then, stop and get that latte. But you know what? You're not going in there for the latte. You're going in to make a business connection. And you go in with the mindset and you make sure that you connect. We have that 2-foot rule in direct sales. If somebody's within 2 feet of me, they're going to know that I do taxes and what I specialize in, and I have no doubt about that. People have heard my spiel more times than they know what to do with. But I find clients like that, and I find people need me like that. That's how I find out that people are working from home and they need initial advice, and it works for me. So that's what you need to do. You go in with the intent of just building your business. If you're a party plan person and you want another party, then you go in to look for a hostess. If you're also have retail products for sale, then just sell something. I mean, do whatever you have to do, but keep the business rolling. And that's what you want to do while you're in there. Oh, but by the way, while you're in there, have that latte. And that's a deduction. But You got to do business while you're there. And, you know, does the IRS let us take 100% of your mileage? Absolutely not. But we can certainly be more aggressive with it. Because if you don't do this, then for every 2 miles you're driving, you're throwing $1 out the window. You must learn how to do this and do it effectively.
Well,
It's one of the biggest pads to your pocket that you'll have.
well, thank you for that. And I'd like people to get a sense of how big that pad in the pocket can actually be by tracking just mileage, that one expense alone. Can you kind of, I mean, even if someone isn't making a lot of money in their networking business, but they're actively pursuing their business, can you kind of give some ballparks of some tax savings that might happen from just mileage?
You know, it depends on where you live. Like in Bozeman, you have to drive a ways, I'm assuming, to get to anywhere that is functional for you. So you have a little bit more mileage going on than, say, me here in Southern California, because I can go 3.5 miles and already be where I need to be sometimes. And so there's the country aspect, too, of where you are and just how much time in mileage it takes you to get to where you need to get to do your business. I mean, those phenomenal women that do party plans sometimes travel 80, 90 miles just one way to do a party. And my goodness, it's not only to the party, but then it's to the bank, to the Staples, it's to all of the other locations that function for your business. So it's from first stop in the morning, make sure that that's a business stop, and last stop at night, make sure that that's for business. And then we can work with you.
Okay.
But write it down. And we sell mileage logs on our website and would love to have you use that one. That's the same, it's set up on the same premise that the IRS uses for their employees, so we think it's really good. But you know what? For those of you that don't want to purchase something, how many of you have those old check registers thrown in the desk drawer somewhere? Yeah, we all do. We're not writing checks anymore, but we have those old check registers. You can fill them out almost the same way. The date, and then the mileage, and then the description: who, what, when, and why. Why are you meeting with this person? How are they going to affect your business? That's what you want to say. You know, they're a possible recruit. You know, they're going to have a party. They're a retail customer. Just education. You know, whatever it is that you're meeting with this person for, that's what you need to do. So, not any written book, but keep the log. You can't go back anywhere.
Yeah, so getting used to just having something in your car, you don't need an additional expense to have it, having something in your car and always having, and writing down that description, because we cannot depend on our memories. Moni, how's that worked for you?
Tremendously. You know, and here's the thing. What I realized when I first realized the importance of keeping track of your mileage, I was actually shocked at how much additional income that I had just by making the decision to be in a home-based business. And so now it shifts the conversation and it shifts the mindset. Just like you were saying, Rhonda, I thought that was really, really cool and really important because, you know, when people think about this, is not only just a financial benefit, but this is also, in my opinion, a recruiting mindset benefit, because of everything you're doing and everywhere you're going, you're thinking about that 2-foot rule. You're thinking about the fact that you're in business. Now, you're literally helping to pay yourself extra by doing the things that you're supposed to be doing anyway if you're in business. So I think that's really, really fabulous information that you're sharing in terms of that mindset shift, because it definitely is worth the deduction, especially when it comes to getting those refunds and those deductions back. Now, I have a question along those lines. There are certain people that have asked, you know, well, at what point do I need to file? How do I know, you know, that I've made the right amount of income that I need to start going and reporting how much I've made to the IRS? Or at what point can I start doing these deductions?
You want to take them right away. And you know what? You may not make money the first year. Most people don't. Even when we started the accounting business, we didn't make money for the first 2 years, I think. And that's normal. You don't get discouraged by that. But that loss can be carried forward and become a huge advantage. You bring it forward and you will get to use it. And that's the key. But don't let anybody tell you that you need a certain amount. Obviously, the more you make, the better it is. And the more you actually work your business like a business so it pays like a business is huge. You want to keep all of this stuff going. I mean, because it will come back to you. And it's just carrying it forward. It doesn't just end. Like, let me ask you a question. Have you ever heard of a company called Amazon.com?
Yes.
Amazon.com never made any money in the first 10 years that they were in business. Do you think that they didn't file? I mean, you got to remember these businesses and some of the greatest businesses, it takes a while to make money, to make it a profit. So don't let that profit, it's got to be a profit motive. You have to be in business to make money. I mean, that has to be something. If the IRS asks you, you say, yes, I am doing this to make money. I'm not doing it because it's fun and I love the products and I like the girls that I hang out with. None of that's any good. You must be in it to create additional income. And that's what the IRS is looking for.
That is an awesome answer. I hope you all heard that and listened good, and I hope that you're taking copious notes and you've got your notepad and your pencil and you're taking notes, because this is very, very valuable information. And I'm like really excited about the information you're sharing, Rhonda, because so many people need to hear that. And there may be some people that are on the fence about starting a home-based business, right? Now, we're in the networking space. Now, does this go just for networkers or for any home-based business?
It goes for any home-based business. I mean, our second largest client base are real estate people and insurance brokers, people that work from home, anyone that makes 1099 income. And that's really where it comes from, because you have to claim the income, but there's also some value in having that home office. So remember that, you know, it's working from home. There's huge value in that. Not only all the personal things that we all know that you and Robin have been able to do with your families over the years, because this has been the profession you've chosen, but where else can you work that you get to choose how much you make? If I want a raise and I'm in network marketing, I choose what my raise is going to be. I don't have to go and argue with a boss or do anything like that. I get to choose how much I want to make. I want to make $5,000 more, then it's up to me to do it. And there's no other career that you get to choose what you want to make. This is huge. I mean, just a great place in life.
I totally agree. I totally agree with you. And you kept using that word choose, but there was a word that you used there that triggered something for me, and that word was family. What are the tax advantages of involving your family?
Huge. You know, just like you keep using, what is that word, fantastic or awesome, and I keep using huge. It's huge. You can hire your children between the ages of 6 and 17. Now, this doesn't mean you can just write them a check out of your business account. You have to have an actual payroll, and quarterlies need to be paid, and year-end needs to be filed, and W-2s need to be sent out, that whole thing. And the kids don't have any implications of anything being withheld from them. You can also hire your spouse. Now, these are two separate topics that I typically get into, but I can't stress enough to hire your children if you have them with it. They can make approximately about a $6,000 difference in your taxable income. It shifts from you to them, because you're taking the money that you make and you're shifting it over to someone else at a very low tax rate these children have. So it's huge. Tom and I have a chapter in the book, and I'm a huge George Clooney fan. So I had called him one day and said, I need help. They just informed me that spouses are going to be at this event. And normally my spouses are a lot of times my dream stealers. The girls go home, they're all excited, because 90-some% are always women network marketers. And they go home, and then the husbands go, oh no, you can't do this and you can't do that. So I call them very affectionately my dream stealers, because the girls are all excited, and they even found more reasons to do this business, and then they go home. So then I was told that my dream stealers were going to be in my audience. So I was like, all right, I got to do something different, Tom. I got to have something tangible to hand them. And so he he had about 2 hours to figure this out, but he's a genius anyway. And he did a tax return. And the first tax return was George and I, and just regular, no home business, anything. We earned about $100,000, and no big deal, not too many deductions. But the next return that we did, we had a couple of children. Think about that with George Clooney. Okay, so you have the children, and you're moving forward, but I had a home business, and we took some deductions for that, just nominal ones. I wasn't even a big earner in our little scenario, but it made over a $5,000 bottom line difference for our tax return. And when you see that in the book, I think it opens a lot of eyes to say, whoa, because lots of times throughout the business, when you're brand new, you see the money going out. You're buying supplies, you're buying brochures, you're buying money going out and not a lot coming in. A lot of times that all of this is in your tax return, but you need to have somebody that's really good and understands it. Not everybody is, and not everybody's even educated to do this. So just make sure you interview them just like you would anybody else in your business world. That's all I can tell you, because not everybody does taxes the same way.
That's a great statement that you just made there, Rhonda, when you said interview them. What are the right questions to ask when they're interviewing and trying to select a CPA?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't be looking for CPAs because they are auditors. Typically, that is what they're educated to be. And I say that very affectionately because I am married to one of those guys. And it wasn't until we gave him our book to preview and read that he came back and said, oh my goodness, I didn't know what I didn't know. But he had never taken the classes, additional classes for home business or any of that. And yet he worked for a public accounting firm. He was a CPA. He had in fact, he has his master's in taxation. So it's like, I just figured somewhere in there he had learned all of these rules. In our book, we state the IRS code that goes along with the rules, which is our validation that, what we're telling you is the right stuff. And after he read all that, he's just said, I need to go back and redo some things. But CPAs, a lot of times, are not aware of the home business arena. And they're intelligent people. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that they're not educated, because they're very educated. However, this may not be their specialty, and these returns take a lot more time. So I just encourage you to interview them. The most important thing I can tell you to make sure, when you tell them you're in direct sales or network marketing, and if they poo-poo you and they don't have respect for what you have chosen to do, then that's when I would say, thank you very much for your time. I will find someone else. Because that's huge. If they don't respect what we do to begin with, then they're not going to help figure out the best paths for us to go for our taxes. But I would also ask, do you work with direct sellers? And what companies are they with? And how many years have you had these clients? And at what are their earning levels? Because we're all at different earning levels. Some of us are over millions. Some of us are in the, the 10 to 15,000. It's nice to know what that tax preparer has been involved in. Those are my questions that I would have. But most of it is the respect for what you're doing. I think that's essential, or you got the wrong preparer.
Wow, that's awesome. What are your thoughts on that, Robin?
Wow. Whoops. Oh, I'll be back. 1 second. Thanks, everybody. I'm learning, you guys. This technology thing, it's a stretch every time, and I keep stretching. So I want to comment on that, but I want to go back a little bit first and then move into that, because there's several things you said, Rhonda, that I think a lot of us take really casually. When we have a home-based business, we need to have a place in our home that is specifically designated to our business. So the dining room table is not sufficient. Even if it's a closet that we convert, it's square footage that turns into the deduction. So a designated space is important. And then you talked about treating it like a business. And I know that a lot of people get involved in our profession because they fall in love with the product and then they share it. Or they love the people they're doing business with and it's fun and they have kids and they want to get out of it. There's so many different reasons. But what you said, Rhonda, is when you get asked, that your intention is that this is a business, your intention is to make money. Whether you've made it or not yet, it does take time for the income to roll in. And we know in our profession it can happen fast, but it may not. It may take, a time and investment before the income is greater than the expenses, which is the ideal scenario. So then moving into choosing your tax preparer, and I want to say how important what you just said is making sure that they love this profession the way we do, that they love it, that they respect it as a business model, and that they understand it. Because I spoke to one of my distributors many years ago. Her husband was a CPA. He absolutely said she could not deduct her auto ship for her taxes, and I told her she absolutely could. And we got into it for a while. And then I think I brought you in, Rhonda, to validate the tax code from the home-based businesses. So it's really, really an important part of the journey. I want to make a shift because I'd love people to get to know you, Rhonda, a little bit more. They're getting to know Monty and I as we continue on this journey together. Why do you love this profession so much of network marketing, direct sales, multi-level marketing, relationship marketing? Why did you get involved, and why do you love it so much, and why is this something for others to consider?
Tom and I have always, Tom is my business partner, and him and I have always loved direct sales individually. I mean, when I was young, I started out with my children. I did Discovery Toys, and then I kind of progressed to Princess House. It just kind of was wherever my lifestyle was. Now I'm big on anti-aging. It just is wherever I am in my life. And it's like we would go to events and we were looking around, and the one thing that we saw that was missing for the people that were getting involved in the businesses was the tax information. And that's when we decided to write our book and focus on this profession and go forward, because we've always loved it. I mean, we've both been very successful at it. I've been very successful and I've been mediocre successful, but I've loved the people. There's a standard of person that you meet in this journey of direct sales that you don't meet in the everyday life. Because I was in corporate for a long time, and I never had the kind of friendships that I have now. And I just love the people, but I want them to have the advantage. These tax rules that Tom and I tell you about are not new. They've been around since 1913. They're not anything that any other tax professional can't find or have their access to. But we've worked so we know how to strategize it and make the most of it and work the businesses. And then we get involved in the businesses so we understand what that business is all about, such as the auto ships or gifting. I mean, there's a lot of things that have happened along the way that an individual company may do. And then we try to focus on that company so that we can benefit and educate the people that are involved in that company and tell them how to be more successful financially just by changing behaviors.
Wow. I love it. And this is a perfect example of your love for the profession. And we continue to talk about it's a relationship business, and it is relationship in building our business, but the people that we get to meet through the business has become one of my favorite parts, along with the personal development part. So Monty, what do you have to say about that?
I echo everything, is that we're here and we're talking about, the beauty of the profession. And I think my favorite thing that you said, Rhonda, was that depending on where you are, at your time, how you started off, with Discovery Toys, and then you went on and you said, now I'm into anti-aging. I think the beauty, though, of that is that the profession, regardless of what company that you are with, regardless of what you're choosing to market, these tax benefits can really spread across all of those things. And being able to have something like this, where we're able to educate people on why they need to do it and how they need to do it, I think is so important. So here's a question that I have, going back to something that you mentioned in regards to the family. You mentioned, that you can hire your children, that you can hire your spouse. Is one better than the other, or should people focus on both if they are able to?
Well, I think if you're able to, you do both, because then when you take a family trip, then you can make it a meeting. You make it a business meeting. And on the way there, you just have like a board meeting because these are your employees along with your spouse and your children. And then there's not that division of, your 50% of the hotel room and everything because everybody's employees. They're part of the business. So it changes the whole functionality of the business. They become part of your business. And that's not even the emotional support and all of that happens in a family when they're actually involved with you.
Wow, wow. That was so huge. Like that really gave me an aha just now.
Oh,
So
good.
like when someone's reporting, for example, how often do they need to report their income from their home-based business?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Like, for example, do they need to file once a year? I know that some people have said, I've had people advise me, well, you need to report your earnings quarterly to pay your taxes, on those things, or you need to do it once a year. What is your advice?
Well, when we do your taxes and that tax comes out of the process, the system automatically tells us if you qualify, if you're supposed to be doing quarterlies or not. And that's when we talk to you that you're at the level in which you have to do quarterlies. And so then we talk to you about that and we educate you on, because that makes a difference for some people, having to do this every 3 months, then, they have to have money ready and put that in. But you need to put the money aside no matter what. We have leaders right now that are having such great success in a couple of companies, and it's just kind of amazing to me, but they're not putting aside, they're not thinking the tax consequences that come along with it. Come April, they're going to owe no matter what we do. We can stand on our head and spit nickels and do all of the woo-woo dances we can think of, but they're still going to owe tax because the key is to pay your fair share, but never leave a tip. And so we always believe that everybody has to claim all of their income, and there is a certain amount that you are obligated to pay. That's the way the American system is set up. I am not here to tell you I'm a tax preparer doesn't that there are no tax consequences if you come to us. It's paying your fair share, but not a penny more.
I love that. When Robin shared that with me earlier, pay your fair share, but you don't have to tip them.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. I'm like, you know what? That's a really good way to put it. A very good way to put it because, this is just, another way that we're seeking to educate people so that they understand the importance of what they're doing. And so let's take a look at the brand new person who may be looking at an opportunity for the first time. If you were to give, a few nuts and bolts advantages, like the biggest advantages of making the decision to have a home-based business, no matter what that is, whether if it's a networking or so on, what are your nuts and bolts if we were to start to pull these things together? What would you say?
Mileage. It's huge. The mileage ticket alone is huge on your taxes. And that's one of the biggest things I can tell you about because you need to do that. The sharing it with your families and putting them on payroll, that's probably right up there. There's another little nugget in direct sales which is called let me get the verbiage correct as I'm sitting here. Reimbursed medical expenses. Now, when you do your typical tax return, there's a cap that you have to reach, and it's thousands of dollars, and it's a percentage of your income, and it's hard to reach that level even if you're really sick sometimes. But with direct sales, if you have this reimbursed medical expense program in your company, and we have one on our website that is just a small little explanation, and you have your employee sign it, which is your husband, then 100% from the first dollar starts accumulating the reimbursed medical expenses. So let's just say that your husband's the one that has the medical deducted from his paycheck. Well, it can now come back to him through your business as him as an employee. He can get reimbursed on not only the premiums, but the co-pays, the prepays, prescriptions, everything like that can now become reimbursable through your business. And that's the other little nugget that's there that I think is just unbelievably wonderful.
That's fascinating. That is really fascinating, Rhonda. So, are you saying that the company has to have that program in place in order for you to be able to do
Yes,
that?
it's a small little claim that you just say that you provide reimbursed medical expenses. Now, if you're going to get big enough that you're going to have outside employees, then you don't want to do that. You don't want to get into the business of, paying everybody's medical expense. But when it's your own family and it's reimbursed, then it's just taking it from one pocket and putting it back into the pocket that needs to have it. So, I mean, it just makes a lot of sense to have it there. And especially because most of us, the spouse is the one carrying the insurance program, and so they're the ones with the premiums. The
Yeah,
premiums can now come back, which is huge. That's a lot of money every year.
absolutely. Absolutely. I didn't even know that. That was another aha. Robin,
Well,
add
maybe
something.
you'll have
Add
to call
something
me
to
for
that.
a consultation.
I think that that was so cool just to hear that that's even a possibility. You know, as a home-based business owner, you know, for me personally, hearing this and hearing these things from you, even though I've been doing this a long time and I've been able to write my mileage off and get huge benefits from that, you're providing now new insights and new information to things that we can continue to use and as we evolve and as we learn and grow to be able to add more money in our pockets. And I think that's really where we're at, because the more money we add in our pockets, the more money that we can have in that cycle and help to stimulate the economy. I think that's beautiful. What do you think, Robin?
Love it. Love, 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 love it. And what I'm listening and I'm learning and opening eyes, and just the fact, Monty, that you had a new awareness is pretty exciting too. There's so many dimensions. That's why it's really important to get educated. And first and foremost, Rhonda is a tax educator. She as you can tell, I mean, I never thought taxes could be fun until I met Rhonda. And I do know some people, and you may know some people, and you may be one of those people that has like resisted doing it, and it's maybe stacked up a little bit. And I know that people have gone to Rhonda when they've done that and, brought her and her company the shoe boxes filled with the receipts and said, I haven't filed for a while, I need help. And, there's this underlying stuff that happens. A friend of mine says if we have any incomplete energy, it's like a hole in the boat of disempowerment. And when people actually break through, and I know you've done that a lot for Rhonda, and I know educating people so they're empowered is part of the process. But another way that you're educating people is with your books. And could you share, because that's a simple way for people to wake up to learning more about these resources. So could you share a little bit about the additional resources you have available if people are ready to step in and learn and break through?
There's the book. Taxes are a game, and we play to win. And let me explain that a little bit, because I don't want anybody to think this is all fun and games, because taxes are a serious business, and it's a real serious business. But the reason we chose that is because, have you ever played a game to lose? Robin, I know you never have. Never. But the big thing is you learn strategies, and then you learn how to maximize whatever game you're playing, whether it's Battleship, Monopoly, Game of Life, whatever it is. You start strategizing how to maximize what you're doing. And that's all Accountable Solutions is doing for everybody, individually and as a group and as a business format. I mean, we just love it, and we continue to learn. Tom continually takes educational classes. My other preparers take educational classes. We all get back together and we talk about things that we've learned, and people that we meet that have specific problems that may be unique and that we've never dealt with before. Then we start talking about them and how to resolve them to the benefit of the people that are having these issues. And we get real excited by it. I mean, it's just an energizer for us. Tom is just brilliant at what he does and the strategizing that he's able to just be able to do. And we look forward to it. We look forward to the challenges of learning and learning more about different companies, different people, different philosophies, different opinions. We're all open to all of those.
Wow. And I know you've worked with, what, over 160 different companies, and they have their different ways. And so the willingness that you and Tom and your staff have to be a student, to really understand the refinements, because like you said, gifting and samples, different than mileage and expense and other ways. There are just so many different dimensions to learn and refinements from the companies. And the fact that you really enjoy it as a team, as an individual, and really support this profession. So people have your book, which is a fabulous. And what is your website, Rhonda? I forgot to ask you.
Oh, I would like to give you all my information at the end of the call, Robin, or
Okay.
in the next day, and you'll post it somewhere where people can actually find it.
Great.
That would be great. You can always go to my email is rhonda@accountablesolutions.biz, B-I-Z. So if someone has specific questions and you don't feel like sharing it because this is all personal stuff. And that's the other thing about this business, which is so hard. When you're working with people's money, they're unforgiving with difference of opinion or when things go certain ways, but there's a certain responsibility that is yours. I mean, I can educate you and I can say, Robin, please do this and please do that, and then you bring me your taxes, and then I look at it and I go, Robin, but you didn't do any of this, and you're still angry because then the bottom line changes. But you know what? I can't make you do it. Part of the responsibility will be yours. And then part of it is mine to educate you. And I'll continue to educate you. I'll continue to, take the midnight calls. I give out my personal cell phone, which, by the way, right now is 949-767-7752. And anyone is welcome to call me at any time. If I can't help you, I'll get one of my tax specialists back with you that will walk you through and help you. So if you haven't filed and the IRS is nipping at you every day and that monkey's on your back and you can't be successful if that's on your back, let us help you. I mean, one of my really good friends says that I'm not the tax diva or the tax anything. I'm a tax therapist. So,
I like that.
So it's pretty funny because when I'm speaking and people will come up, and you've seen it, Robin, when I get off stage, I'll always have the 2 or 3 ladies that end up in tears because this has been baggage for them for a very long time, and they don't know how to get beyond the baggage to continue being successful at what they really want to do. And that's why we're here, really, is to lessen that baggage.
Oh, Rhonda, I can take a deep breath on that one. And I know a lot of people out there, because it's when we don't know something and it becomes mysterious and it's dark and it's taxes. And between you and my brother, who's a tax professor and a tax attorney, I feel like if anything ever happened, I've got the best team on the planet to help me. And being a tax therapist is really, having people relax into it and learn the strategy and realize that it is a game and there's rules of the game to play. So, Monty, what do you have to say about all that?
So much. As you can imagine, I keep having these thoughts running through my mind. I love the mindset of taxes are a game, let's play to win, because so many times this is one of those things that people avoid. It's like IRS, that's like the acronym that nobody wants to deal with. And your approach to dealing with it not only helps people make responsibility fun, but you're helping them to be able to get into that mindset of saying, you know what, I'm helping you put more money into your pocket. I'm showing you advantages, because I think that there's been so much out there from people. There's these experts and these and different experts, but I love what you bring. The expertise that you bring, the knowledge that you bring, but the fun factor and making it less burdensome. But I think more importantly, what was really wonderful about what you just shared, especially when you mentioned the women that would be in tears when you would come off of the stage and after you're finished speaking, because they now know that burden can be lifted. Because, so many times people don't, I've seen it, Rhonda. I've seen people who are just like, I owe, but I don't want to face it. I just don't want to deal with it. This is not the right time. I can't handle the stress. And, what if they come back at me even more and more? And what you're saying is, here, I can help you exhale. We can help you navigate through that process and really usher them to safer shores within this that most people don't understand. And so your ability to simplify this and say, you know what, you can do it this way. We've put all of this information, we've compiled it, we've taken what seems complex to people and we've made it simple, and we've made it something that you can actually enjoy doing. And so when I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking, you know what, I can look at taking my mileage in a totally different way. I can think about it as cha-ching every time I'm starting my day with the business when I'm out, and I'm ending my day with the business when I'm out. That's something that I didn't know, even though I go out there with the intention of doing that, but I'd never thought about it in that way. And so the way that you're sharing it really helps to give that mindset shift, and it helps people understand that the advantages are great. But even if, you might have gotten into a little trouble, there are resources there that can help you navigate this and take away that burden. So I think your approach is beautiful. It's holistic. And I think that a lot of people will really appreciate hearing what you have to say, even as they're listening on the playback.
The most important thing you can do too, Moni, is to have that separate checking account. And, the time to make your decision is when you're making the purchase. So you're going through a line at Walmart, Costco, Office Max, any of those stores that could be combined with personal. And that's when you decide, if it's personal, put it on your personal card. If it's business, divide it and put it on the business card. And keep those receipts. Those receipts are huge because they want to make sure you're not buying, coffee for your house. I mean, that's just the way the IRS is. They want to be able to audit certain things if they need to. So yes, you do need to keep receipts, and you do need to keep them for 7 years typically. There's lots of programs out there now that you can use, that you can just take pictures of them. One of my favorites is the Expense Tracker, and if you're interested in a demo on that, I'm happy to. Anybody can send me an email, and I'm happy to get you a personal demo from the company, and you can go with that, and you can keep track of your mileage with Expense Tracker. You can keep track of taking the pictures of your receipts, just anything that makes it easier, because the easier it is, the more you'll do.
I agree. I mean, I've been seeing a lot of these programs out there too. You've mentioned Expense Tracker and TaxBot and all these other programs out there that people can use to now keep from having to have that shoebox filled with with the receipts, and they can keep track that way. I think that's great. Let me ask you a question, okay? And this just popped in my head. I know a lot of people have been asking, what is better when you're having your own separate account for your business? Do you need to incorporate yourself, or can the checks be written in your name? And are there advantages to having your checks as a business, or will it be about the same if you just operate your home-based business as yourself?
It has to be a designated account. The name on it doesn't matter at all, but it needs to be designated so that the business expenses are segregated into what is business and what is personal. And the sooner you quit commingling that, the easier it is to explain that should you get into an audit situation. The IRS looks at you as a hobby if you are just playing this like, a mom and pop shop and you're running everything through one account. They do not look at that like a business owner. And think about that. Do you know do you think Oprah does that with Harpo? Do you think Bill Gates does that with Microsoft, or do you think Microsoft has its own checking account? And that's all you are. You're a mini Oprah. I mean, that's all it is. You're a mini Oprah.
That all day long. What a great way to look at that. Hey, I'm a mini Oprah. I'm going to handle my money Oprah style.
That's exactly right. You're going to work this business like a business so it pays like a business.
Love it. Love, love, love it. I hope you all are hearing this and hearing the importance of treating your business like a business and treating it like a professional. You'll hear Robin, I remember Robin used that word a lot, and I said, unlike other people, I would hear people say, I'm a relationship networker, or I'm a network marketer, or things, and Robin always used the phrase, I am a professional networker, and that goes to the mindset that we have to have with all of this. You know, that's the underlying, in my opinion, core of really treating it like a business and not a hobby. When you have dedicated your mind to being a professional and you understand that you are a mini Oprah, a mini Bill Gates, a mini, you know, whomever you admire, and that you have to treat your business that way. And there was an old statement, and it was from the one of the scriptures, and it said, be faithful in the small things, and then you'll become ruler over many things. And so we have to not take advantage and think, oh, that's not a big deal yet. I'm not a big, you know, earner yet. It's a big deal right now, whether you're just beginning or whether you are, you know, like all the other professional networkers and things that we have interviewed and things here. So I think that's really, really important. What are your thoughts on that, Robin?
Wow. Good job. And I think that is one of the biggest shifts that people need to make in our profession, because the low point of entry, female may not, there's not much skin in the game to take it that seriously, versus if someone buys a franchise for hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars to get involved in our profession. But there is no glass ceiling as what we can make. So when we start out with that mindset of treating it like a profession and treating it like a business, and making sure we set aside money every check we get. And what's really helped me a lot is every check that would come in, I would take a percentage of it and get some advice from your tax preparer of what percentage you should set aside, because they'll know what bracket you're in, and I'd put that in a tax account. So when quarterlies came due, I just wrote a check from my tax account to my for my quarterlies, because I had put money in from every single income check. And those little things make a huge difference, so you don't end up like Rhonda says, when it's time to pay and you didn't plan for it. And that's one of the bigger challenges I've seen, because many of you out there will make more money than you've ever made in your life. And to be a professional and to prepare for it. And Rhonda's wisdom is such a gift. And to realize that it's just another part of the model, is we need to learn how to treat it like a business. And I think having a business credit card, we have a business Visa and a business American Express, that makes it very easy. So when we're doing our taxes, we know that those credit cards are specific to our business. We use them for nothing else other than a business expense. And if I'm going through Costco, I'll have one card for this and one card for business, you know, personal and business. So splitting up the purchases. So Rhonda, all these things are fabulous. So I want to kind of come in for the home stretch, and I know we've talked about this a bunch, but I want to kind of go back to the beginner or the person who's never had their own business and may have some concern or fear. From what I'm hearing, we put thousands and thousands of dollars back in our pocket, whether we're making money or not, just by having a home-based business. Is there anything else you want to say to someone who's really looking at this profession for the first time and deciding if they really want to have a home base? What else would you say to them, Rhonda?
I think taxes are probably one of the best recruiting tools we have also. If someone's sitting on a fence like that, then you explain the tax benefits, or give them my number. I'll explain to them the tax benefits and why they want to be part of your company. You know, I'm not going to steal them from you, but I'll tell them the value of coming on board with you and just joining the fun of direct sales, and it's such a blessing. It is such a great profession to get into, and there are hundreds of reasons. And like, well, let me ask you a question, Robin. What president do you know doesn't have a ranch or a farm?
Ha! Good question. Good. It is. I love it when you say the business is a blessing, and this is a recruiting tool. And Rhonda, I know, is available to answer questions, and you have a website you want to share with us, because we're getting down to the end here. And so before you get to that, Rhonda, I want to say, Monty, do you have anything else you want to say to wrap it up before Rhonda gives all her contact information again?
I do. I just want to say, of course I do, Robin. You know me.
I love that about you. I love that about you.
I'm very rarely at a loss for words, but I just wanted to say how grateful I am for this information, and I hope that everyone was really paying attention and that you really spread this out to your teams, because this is something, we're here for the industry. We say that often, and when we come here every week, we're here to serve the industry, and so this is information that you can use to get out to your personal recruits or to your team members so that they can win and win big. So it's not just about winning in the company, but it's about winning in their entire financial life. And the information that Rhonda Johnson shared today is so vitally important. And so I want to tell you, Rhonda, how grateful I am for you being here, for giving me some ahas in my mini Oprah mode, and and for really, sharing, your holistic approach to making taxes a game and playing to win. So thank you so much for coming on Wise Women Weekly. And go ahead and give everyone your contact information.
All right, I haven't been in the office a lot, and Tom is very good about keeping us up to date on things, so I want to make sure I'm giving the best one. MakingTaxAGame.com. Check that one out. And then I will double check with him and make sure before Robin releases all of my stuff at the end or wherever we put it, so it's posted somewhere.
Okay.
And awesome. And if that doesn't work, please call me. And again, I got that number. It's 949-767-7752. And I will get you directed wherever you need to be for whatever your challenge or your question is. Then I will help you get to the next page.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that. Be sure to request to join us in our Facebook group at Enlightened Networking. You can find it on Facebook. We would love to have you join us, and we will have the information that Rhonda had here. We'll make sure everything's up to date and that it's perfectly there and available for all of you. So be sure to type in Enlightened Networking on Facebook and join us, and we'll continue to bring value. Rhonda, you are awesome. Robin, you're awesome as usual. I know that's my word, but that's how it feels every time we're together. So, Rhonda, Robin, if you have any closing comments, you can go ahead.
Okay, well, thank you, Mani. Thank you, Rhonda. Just the thought of bringing Rhonda on and sharing the gift of her joy and her therapy for everybody, because sometimes we need a little support and therapy for our financial world, and I don't know anyone better than you, Rhonda, that has such a heart and is here to truly serve. And Mani, that's who you are. That's why I love being with you. It's really what Zig Ziglar says. You help enough people, we'll be successful. And the two of you have a servant's heart so beautifully. So just a little bit next week, we're going to have our first wise guy on, and this is Wise Women Weekly, part of Enlightened Networking. We're going to have the co-founder of Enlightened Networking on, and someone who's been tremendously successful, truly an icon in our profession on. And my favorite wise guy, Gregory Mascari, will talk a little bit about what's contributed to his success, and we'll talk a little bit about why we created Enlightened Networking for you. And so we want to thank everyone for taking the time to be with us, for being so open to learning, to growing. We want to thank you for sharing this with people you feel would be benefited by it. And we will see you next Thursday with our favorite wise guy. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.